Hello, thanks for tuning in again to Star Property TV's Inspiring Individual series. Today we are honored to have a renowned guest on the program, a lawyer come property developer. He's the director of IWajib Property, Datuk Chew Yin Keen. Welcome, Datuk. Before we get started, do tell us about your background and preferably a side to you unknown to the public, and ultimately what led you to real estate.
Thank you for hosting me.
More than happy to.
Yep. You see, I'm a lawyer by professions, and I'm still practicing law.
Okay.
Even though I have started a company since 2008, where our first project completed not long after that, and now we continue to develop this one park, Taman Semit Idaman. What makes me to change from a practitioner to a property developer? Okay, this is very important because as a professional, your entrepreneurship is very controlled. But if you are entrepreneurs, then you can do more in terms of business. Okay, that's how we started in a very small property, a boutique development. Now we are getting it a little bit expand from building of 40 units of terrace houses. Now we are building it 250 units of terrace houses. The key to this is that obviously it's driven by opportunity and the what they call income expansion. After being a practitioner for about 18 years, you will realize that your opportunity to earn more as a professional lawyer is limited. So I'm thinking to expand my wealth. My wealth is the only way is to go into the business. What kind of business is best suited for me? To me is that I practice real estate law. And real estate is what I know. So therefore, I make a decision to go into property development where I know most. I have advised many developers in their business how the law works. While I advising the developers, I learn the trade. When I learn the trade, it is best for me to venture into something I know. So that's why I choose property development, and I hope that I will continue to do it in a very boutique way. I want to create my company as a boutique developer rather than producing massive housing just to cater people to own a house. But I'm building a home for my buyers, a home that they can go home, feel relaxed, and they enjoy the environment surrounding the house or the home.
And
that's
where
what we do.
Most of the developments?
In a southern KL, we are ranging from the Bandar Sungai Long, the area, right up to, at the moment, at the border of Kajang. So at the border of Kajang, which is accessible to Lekas Highway, and it's just about 35 minutes to the KL city center. So it's accessible through various major highways. And you can go to the up north or even to the south or east. They are all linked with highways. So accessibility is the key to a success property development, particularly residential property. So we have to look at the strategic location when we start developing a housing estate. This is one of it, and I hope that the next project we are going to start will be something also very interesting. So one park is something very interesting where a place where you own the parks. So as a house owner, you own your own park, you manage your own park, you enjoy your own park, and at the end of the day, you able to dictate what you want.
Right. And speaking of opportunity, IWajib was born in 2008, a time that coincided with the subprime crisis in the US. So naturally, one would expect to hold back on their business ventures during that period. But IWajib did the exact opposite. So was this it just happened by chance, or it was a premeditated move?
they are both by chance and also by business, what you call your what you call business sense. Okay, look, we always learn the principle of you buy low, sell high. You buy property, you must buy at a low price so that when you sell at a high price. During the subprime period in 2008, why you buy properties? Because at that material time, the price is low. You buy properties, you must buy at the low. When people don't buy property, you buy property, you sure will make it. Why? Because the property appreciation will be there, and when the market recover, you are there. So you create a wealth by itself for yourself. Like for example, like today, we are all facing a property downhill. Since 2015 right up to now, and now of course the property is picking up in 2017. Why you need to buy now? Now it's low. How low is low? You want to go down. You see, in a developed country like Malaysia, okay, you have to expand your development. You have to develop because your population is a young population. Then the young populations means what? There are many people who wants to buy property, particularly the first time buyers. But whereas subprime in US is a matured economy. So they don't have a lot of young people. So you keep on developing, so people don't stay in the house. They become a speculator. Not only even an investor, he's become a speculator. So in Malaysia, it's slightly different. Malaysia, you do not have enough houses, particularly affordable houses. And you talk about landed property, it's even more scarce. And it's very difficult to get a landed property in Kuala Lumpur. You want to get a landed property in Kuala Lumpur, an old house where you have to spend a few $100,000 just to rebuild or refurbish or re-renovate the house. But when you buy the time, it costs you $1,000,000. When you still have to dump in cash about 500,000 to beautify or re-renovate or to make good of what is old and new, you have to spend this kind of money. So how can a young couple around 30 years old have to make more than $1 million, save more than $1 million to own a landed property in Kuala Lumpur? So the best place is to outskirt a little bit. Yes, it could be 35 minutes away or 30 minutes or 40 minutes away, but you can buy a very nice, beautiful home within your affordability. So a young couples, a professionals, or join hand together, have a salary about 8,000 a month, you are able to earn or own a property where it's beautiful for your families. That is why we are talking about affordable homes. Affordable doesn't mean that you must be below 300,000 or 400,000. There's a kind of different. When you talk about landed property, you own it, you have a beautiful, you don't need to renovate, brand new, 700,000 to 800,000. That's a great price because land is very expensive at this moment. And property will continue to rise in Malaysia, particularly landed property, for a very simple reason. We are getting less and less land in Kuala Lumpur or the surrounding Kuala Lumpur. That's one thing. Second thing, our population keep on growing, particularly in Klang Valley. We have a 10% to 15% population growth every year. And how to fit in this group of people? They all need a house. They all need a home to build their family. So if you compare a subprime in US and property here in Malaysia, there's two different market. Because one is a mature market, one is developing market, and with young population. When you have young population, obviously they get married. When they get married, they build their family. When they build their family, they need their house. That's very simple kind of what I call kind of rule of how you need property. how far you can go.
Yep.
Okay, first thing. Second thing, Malaysia has economic growth of around 5% average every year. Third is that we have full employment, consider full employment, even though it's about 3% of unemployment rate, but in economical terms, we are full employment. As opposed to some other country which is your high unemployment, then there's a very different kind of scenario. Malaysia's scenario is that we are able to afford to buy a house simply because the people still employed and earning. And most importantly, the government policy of high income nation. That's why we do not worry about the household debts so much. Because your GDP, you are building, the inflation is quite controlled, around 4% or below, that kind of situation. So the household debts, you will see in coming years, you will keep on controlling or below or lower. Even in last quarter, we have what they call the household debts came down. This helps. Why? Because we always get our household debts. It's too high, too high, too high. And most important thing is the household debts quality. Because majority of the household debt, the quality is good. Why is good? Because it's packed with asset. When you pack with asset, so you don't worry about people can't afford. Why? Because you got employment. When you got employment, you got income. And why you have full employment and the economic growth is still continue. That's why all these are supporting towards a person or a couple, a young couple should buy their own home. It is time to invest in your home. It is time to buy it. And if I go one step further, as a young people, you have to create your own wealth. In order to create your own wealth, is the only way is to buy your own home first. When you buy your own first house, you are actually creating a wealth for your own family. And because the property will be appreciated from year after year. Every 7 years, the figure is double. If you're going to save, no way you can save to buy another house or to upgrade yourself if you don't buy now. Today, you can afford affordable homes of 200,000. You go and buy. After 5 years, your 200,000, it becomes 400,000. When you sell this, and because of your ability to earn increase, then you can upgrade your house to a terrace houses. Probably the time is you want to buy a terrace house of 1.2 million. You can afford. Because after 5 years, your career are more stable, you are able to earn more, and you have created the wealth from 200,000 to become 400,000. So with that itself, it's able for you to pay for the deposit upfront. Then from 1.2, after 7 years, you become 2.4. So within a span of 15 years, you are a millionaire. But if you don't invest, you just say, oh, you don't invest because the price is coming down. The price of property in Malaysia will not come down. In a very simple reasons is that the population is keep growing, the economy is keep growing, and the demand of the house is keep increasing, and no way you can match it because we have a young population. I can tell you that about 40% of our population is below 40 years old. When 40% of the population below 40 years old, we need a lot of infrastructures like housing. They all get married. They're all going to have children. They're all going to build a family for themselves. Likewise, like we build our family. We buy houses. Okay? So this is the time. And also, the opportunity to create wealth. Why? Because the property prices at this moment is still very low due to the very reasons that the past 2-3 years, their property developers did not increase the price. And they still keep maintaining because of the economy or the demand is very flat. I'm sure in next year or two, the economy is getting better, the prices were going to push up.
next year or two.
Next year or two, the prices will increase at least 10 to 20% easily. So if you don't buy now, you will miss the opportunity to acquire wealth for yourself and your family. So this is how you have to compare between why subprimes in America and in Malaysia. The scenario is two different things. The economy is one developed economy, one is developing economy, one is the population growth is still there, and young populations, full employment, GDP is there. Then the inflationary is there, because without inflationary, the price won't come out or it won't go out. You know, in the Western world, they chase for inflationary, but here we're scared of inflation. But don't scare about inflation. The most important thing, the key is that the economy is still growing, the GDP is still growing, people still have employment, they still have income. These two things must come hand in hand. Then you will not afraid of inflation. Of course, we cannot let inflation fly. But you control it around 4%. I think it's very good. And the economic growth, if you control it, then we have a sustainable economy of 5% GDP. I think the country is doing very well. When the country do well, the economy do well, the property market will do well as well. When the property markets do well, the people want to acquire property, you have to acquire fast. If you miss the opportunity, you have to miss another 5 to 10 years when the economy downturn again, which every 10 years, most probably they will turn, economy turn down. But when economy downturn the time, you want to buy, that time you're scared. Why you scared? You're scared that your job is not secure, your children is grown up, you have to go to college, the time you have to spend money, blah, 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 blah. So at the end of the day, you are chasing the dragon tail. No way you can chase the dragon tail. So be bold, take it and invest, buy your own homes, and you move on.
Right. And you talk about the central bank and the government having to review this responsible lending policy that was introduced, and to help, mainly to help Malaysians own a home, especially in particular the first-time home buyers, by extending the loan tenure, the higher debt service ratio, or even the reintroduction of the DIBS. But do you think that the need to deregulate, can be quite myopic, because some people say, one can easily argue, that too much deregulation could lead to some form of systematic risk also in the future. So what's your take on this?
Oh, very simple is that Bank Negara, they have to take certain steps to control, particularly if the property market is overheating. Okay, when overbuilding is no good for the economy. So that's why Bank Negara always control. They control more on speculators. Because if you speculate, then they don't like it, and you will distort the economy. Okay, the demand of the houses is not real when you too much speculations. That's what the Bank Negara regulate. Actually, if you really look at Bank Negara, when it stop the DIBS, what actually it means? It means stopping speculators. Okay, as opposed to investor. Investor is different. Investor, when you invest a property, you are talking about 5 years or 10 years kind of holding, and you are looking at rental returns, a passive kind of income. That's a slightly different ballgame as well. If you look at really on Bank Negara policy, Bank Negara policy that the first two houses you can go up to 90% loan, and the DSR is also quite high. But you're going to invest in the third property, fourth property, and subsequent, then they really control you, and to a certain extent, the bank also will not going to fund you, which is also good. That's why the regulation is helping the first-time buyer. Okay, or those people who want upgrade. Like just now I said, now you buy affordable homes. 5 years later, you double your value, then you buy another one. You still retain the range of Bank Negara regulation. Then you sell that one, then you buy this one. Probably when you upgrade, every one time you own approximately 2 to 3 properties, it will not harm the economy. Particularly when our country at this moment, we have what you call young population. That is the main key of why property developer must continue to build. If you don't continue to build, let's say you control too much, and the houses in the market is limited, okay, which you created a demand more than the supply. Then the first-time buyer will get hurt. Why you get hurt? Because you are creating a false kind of pricing. So the price shoot up. When the price shoot up by 10-20%, which is not supported by real economy, more on profit-orientated, then you have problems. Profit-orientated, not necessarily the developer makes huge profit. The people who invest in property or speculate in property makes more than the developer. You know why? Because when you buy the time so low, when completed time, the property appreciated 30%. Which business give you 30% profit? The speculators make more money. The investor make more money than the developer. So we need to make the market have sufficient supply. Oversupply is no good. But how these things balance is all boils down to government policy. Bank Negara policy is also addressing this issue. They do not want to borrow too much to the developer to acquire land and start building. This is to control the supply line. But if you control too much, then you become very distorted in the economy, and the price of the houses keep going up. That's also a problem where the people are going to face. So we must have the balance. The policy of lending must have a balance. Bank Negara have to create it, and this is the job that the Bank Negara is doing. Of course, that sometimes developers don't like it. You will ask me, I also don't like it. But in the interest of the country, we have to look into it that way and how we balance it. So that's why I always think that we develop in a small scale, in a boutique way, create really a home for our buyer. That's more interesting than to be a massive developer. You develop a lot, you build a lot, yes, it's cheap, but you're not building a home for people. That's what I see. A property developer must build homes, not house. If you build homes, then your buyer will enjoy it. That's the philosophy that IWajib always uphold.
Well done. And you talk about GDP rising and the economy is still growing now, especially with even the Jack Ma coming into the country, is a sign of what's to come. But you know, GDP is growing and property prices is on the developers' end, they say it's still very affordable. And property market is only dictated by income and the sentiment. So what's holding back? Why is the property market still sluggish? And last year, 50% of loans are still rejected, despite, you know, GDP in layman term is of course our income. So what's happening here?
Oh, okay. Why loans is rejected? First, I think in DSR, that's how we assess individuals. Okay. Second, Bank Negara regulation. They're going to regulate it, make sure that our household debt don't skyrocket. Okay. And those people will reject. Normally, they have a lot of exposures. If you don't have a lot of exposure, your loan should be no issues. Of course, that some relaxations must be given, particularly to those first-time buyers or upgraders. You know, if you upgrade your property, then you should give more relaxed kind of regulation. It helps. Why? Probably Bank Negara see that the economy, worldwide economy is not doing well. They try to control it. When they try to control it, then make sure that our economy is very resilient to the external factors. And currently, if you look at it, the policy is right, and the conditioning is also right. And now our country in a better footing to face any external shock. And if any external shock, we are able to take it, and our economy is still sustained. And with a lot of foreign investors coming in, particularly when you look at Jack Ma, they're going to create what they call digital platform in Malaysia. that will not only help the digital companies, or this what they call the digital economy, or they call it virtual economy, or whatever you term it, is always help the manufacturers, the small SME, then other kind of services will also support it. So in other words, we have another line of sectors, economic sectors, the digital sectors growing in Malaysia. So because we have other services sectors also growing, we also have a growing in manufacturing, and if you talk about petroleum, now the price is coming down, so our income will be coming down, the country income, but we have other sectors of economy supporting it. That's how we get the GDP of 5.6% for the first quarter. I'm sure that the second quarter will have above 5% as well. So if you look at all these things, actually they're all supporting the whole economy. When the whole economy able to produce sufficient job and give good income, because we are trying to achieve high income nations, which I think is achievable if you look at the situation at this moment. Okay, what is most important at the end of the day is that Bank Negara regulation must address this what they call regulation, where they have a little bit of stamping block against those first-time buyer or upgraders, simply because they have a little bit of exposure. So how do we overcome it? Because Bank Negara never focus on the ability to earn in the next 3 to 5 years. If you take into account the ability to earn the next 3 to 5 years, then a lot of these rejected loans will be able to be approved. You see? So Bank Negara have the policy to address the current thing. But their policy, maybe now, they will be loosen it so that they will address the 3 to 5 years opportunity, or what I call opportunity to earn more. Because of the advancement of your career, because of your increment. So you are able to do it. When you buy property from developers, 2 years later you need to take your property. And within these 2 years, you need servicing interest, which is very little, because the interest rate at the moment is very low, as compared with those days. In the 90s, we are talking about the cheapest interest rate, 9%. Now, the cheapest interest rate is talking about 4.2, 4.3%. You know, it depends on which bank. Some can go up to as low as 4.2. Some as high. Average-wise is about 4.5. So, if you look at the situation at this moment, if you loosen out a little bit, then the first-time buyers or upgraders, they are able to buy properties. They are able to create what? Bank Negara needs to help this group of people to create their own wealth, to increase their wealth. Because when they buy property long-term, actually, they're increasing the wealth. But of course, they must have ability to service the loan. But when the economy is doing well, for the next 5 years, I don't see any issues with this group of young purchasers, particularly those below 40 years old. And so we need the Bank Negara to loosen it out, because at this moment, the economy can sustain, or our economy is resilient, So you loosen it up, then we will be better to help the people, you see. So we look at that point of view. If you're going to loosen it when the economy is getting very robust, that is danger. Go back to my philosophy. Why? It's danger. Because you buy high, you're going to sell low. It's not going to buy low, sell high. That kind of principle, we have to look at that. So Bank Negara need to help these first-time buyer and upgraders to acquire their dream homes. Okay? And their policy must also help them to create their own wealth, so that everybody share the wealth of the country. You know, this is called wealth sharing. If Bank Negara do not loosen up for this first-time buyer and the upgraders, they will miss the opportunity. Every 10 years, you have this opportunity. One lifetime, how many 10 years you have? 30 years, 40 years, 50 years. That's it. 3 times. You miss first time. You miss another time. That's it. 50 years the time, do you want to buy properties? You are looking at other passive investment, really. You can't look at properties. Because property investment is talking about 20 years to 30 years at this moment.
Right.
So how many 10 years do you have in one working life? So for young people, my advice is very simple. Take this opportunity. This is the first 10 years. Let's say you're in 30. This is the first 10 years. If you buy the first 10 years, you create your own wealth. Even the next 10 years, your property will be maybe 2.5 times more. Then you become upgraders. This is the second time you buy low. Just imagine if you are got the third time, you are going to be creating a wealth for your own family. And the next generation come in, they are much easier, much relaxed. Now, that is what Bank Negara should help. The regulation at this moment is to defend the economy, not to be too exposed, so that it's more control. We have a very good footing at this moment. Our economy in a very good foundation at this moment. And it is time for Bank Negara to loosen up so that it will help not the country also, not the developer also, it helps the people. You must help this group of people to create their own wealth. If you don't, they miss the opportunity, the country also may not do well. You know why the country don't do well? Because the country depends on collection of taxes. If you don't create this, the country also miss the opportunity. So Bank Negara, as a policy makers, you need to look at it. To me, this is what Bank Negara should do at this moment.
You talk about first-time home buyers. The reason why the banks reject their loans because they are exposed. When you talk about exposure, is it self-inflicting because of misplaced priorities on the end?
There are many reasons to it. One of the reasons is because of their housing. There's a study loan. Their study loans. Second is their car loan. You see, in Malaysia infrastructure, not every area you have LRT or MRT at this moment, or the commuters. So public transport is not so good. So why? The first thing they do is they buy a car. Okay. After they buy a car, they have to service their study loan. And they are earning at this moment about 2,500 to 3,500 when you start up that time. It depends on which college you come out from, how good are you. You get a minimum wages of about 2,500. So how are you going to survive in a city of Kuala Lumpur? So you still very much depend on your parents. Okay. So after 3 years to 5 years, then you upgrade your salary to 3,500. Then you are able to look at buying properties. Because after 3 years, your study loans, if you are very diligent, you already settle quite some,
I think there's a lack of education as well. Do you think that why they, after getting their, with a salary of 2.5, if you want to drive a fancy car, then you are shooting yourself on your foot.
Put it this way, you can't blame them. Why you can't blame them? Because they are youngster. I think maybe our education system, they should teach them how to manage their finance. That's the first lesson in university. Okay, and give them a practical kind of way. You buy a second-hand car, won't cost you so much. The policy of second-hand car, so control this, that I'm sure that they are able.
We just have to hope that the MRTs and the future LRT lines will reduce the need for us to own a car.
Yes. That is what the government is addressing at this moment, particularly in city of Kuala Lumpur. They are already started the MRT too. So MRT3 also they're planning it. Then they are also, I think they are also addressing some of the issues of the commuter, city to city. With that kind of in place, I'm sure this what they call the household debts, they will be more controllable, and people won't simply spend. And the government also have this what they call the policy that if you pay more on your housing, these study loans, then you'll get a discount, all these things. All these are help. Okay, the best thing for young people, study hard, get good result, turn the loan to be a scholarship. Okay, you get first grade or the first class honors, you become scholarship. When you become scholarship, you don't need to pay. So study hard, concentrate in your university time, study it, get a first class honors, you are there. First step, government give you a bonus. You know how much is 20,000-30,000? If you're first class honors, you get a scholarship of 20,000-30,000. You're ahead of many people.
It's enough to put for a down payment for a low cost house.
Well, low cost house or affordable homes, you don't need even to have a 10% down payment. They can get 100% loan.
And as well as so with all this in mind, the growth of our country's economy, where do you see the direction of the property market moving 2018 to 2020?
I think just now I already said
how fast is it going to go?
The property market will going to be up, and starting now, the property market is going up already. Okay, there are a lot of people are looking at it, and by 2018, I think the property prices will shoot up. Okay, by 2019, I can tell you the price of the property is going to shoot up to 30%, particularly for landed property.
Okay,
if you buy a landed property in 2019 or 2020, you will see the property prices of landed property at least grow at least 30%. One of the reasons is also our exchange rate. One of the reasons is our exchange rate. All add into it, you will easily go 30%.
30%, okay. And so would you say property is still the best asset class in Malaysia?
Yes. Why? It's very simple. We have a young populations. Our economy is a developing economy. These are the two main factors. Young population is still growing, and we have what you call developing economy. So these two factors itself will tell you that property is the best asset that you can have. Nobody, you pack your wealth in property, will never go wrong.
Okay, and I also want to ask you this because for most Malaysians, property is usually their favorite investment vehicle. It's used as an instrument to either grow your wealth or hedge against inflation. But today we see many property investors holding up 10, 20, even 30 properties. So the question is, should the government come in and draw a line on this? Because 10, 20, 30 properties, I don't know whether it's ethical as well or not.
Okay. See, if you talk about property investors, you're holding 10, 20, 30 properties. They are investors. They invest and they are looking at long term, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years. That would not harm the economy. Okay? Because the investor itself will take property investment as a business. Okay? When you take it as a business, it's just like other business. Then you will not harm the economy. Why they take property as an investment? It's very simple. Because the potential of property. Because you not only hedge against the inflation, you also hedge what you call not hedge. You also multiply your wealth. In other words, you grow your wealth. That's why they invest in property. And it's much easier to manage as compared with business. If you invest in business, it's very different because you've got staff, you've got your business plan, then you've got your perhaps maybe your business loan, all this to manage. But whereas property is quite easy. When you talk about speculations, that is not ethical. Why speculation? Because you buy it now, after completion you flip it. That's why it's going to hurt the economy. So that is why exactly Bank Negara is curving. They do not want people to speculate. But if you invest, because when you talk about invest 10, 20, 30 properties, you are most probably, you already have acquired quite a lot of wealth, cash in hand. You know, that's okay. Because you want to make your money work.
Are they guilty of denying people the opportunity for home ownership?
No, we still have a lot of what they call supplies. That's why just now I have mentioned the government must also look into the supply and demand. You know, if the supply is too much, it's no good. If the supply is too low, it's also no good because you're going to drive the price up too much. You create a false economy. Okay, when you supply too much, you will dampen the economy. You become a burden in the economy. So the supply and demand must be balanced. When you balance, then the investors who invest in property, because they make it as a what they call a business. So the question of ethics is not there. But of course, the speculators, they also trying to do a business, but bad for the economy. So question of ethics doesn't exist because we are practicing free market economy. Of course, our free market is quite controlled, so it's still not too bad. But when you talk about free market economy, then it all depends on individual.
And last question before you go, like, what's your parting advice for young Malaysians to ensure that they also attain success and wealth?
Okay, put it this way. Every young Malaysians, be it whether you're educated or not, the key of success is very simple. It's hard work. Hard work is always prevail over talent. Even though you have talent, you don't have hard work, you will never be successful. You're just a mediocre. If you are hard work and with talent, you will be better off. You will be successful. Okay? When you talk about success, it's quite philosophical. Some of them, they measure by wealth. Some of them, they measure by lifestyle. Some of them, they measure by happiness. So I'm not going to go into these philosophical kind of things. But most importantly for young people, start young, plan young, strategize your wealth creation kind of planning. You see, everybody have the opportunity to become a millionaire if you plan well. Even you are uneducated, you start early. You can be a multi-millionaire simply because you start. Now you buy a property at the age of 20 or 22 or 23. Okay? A low-cost house, affordable homes which cost only 100,000 or 150,000, it's okay. By the time in 5 years or 8 years time, your 150,000 house will multiply by 2. You'll be 300. Don't you think that you are creating a wealth by itself? So by the time you reach 35 or 40 years old, you are already a millionaire. It's very simple because you upgrade it a little bit, you become a millionaire in 5 to 7 years. So you have the opportunity to create your own wealth. You must plan well and you must know how to change your lifestyle a little bit. Youngsters like to eat, you go to Starbucks, drink a coffee, cost you how much? Starbucks, I don't know, maybe 10 ringgit.
More than that, probably.
11, 12. But if you drink it in Mama store, it costs you 2 ringgit. You save 8 ringgit. Let's say you want to go to Mama store. Every night also you want to go Mama store. Instead of drinking a teh tarik cost you 180 to 2 ringgit, you have a warm water. It will cost you only 50 cents or some 30 cents. So how much you save? So from there, you change a little bit your lifestyle. Then you spend a little bit, save enough to create your wealth. Nothing come easy. Hard work is the key to success. Planning is to ensure where are you in future. Very simple as that. You have to think individually.
Datuk Chew, it's been fascinating, wide-ranging conversation. When I speak to you, sometimes I don't think you're a lawyer. I think you're more like an economist rather than a lawyer. But we appreciate your time, and we
Okay,
certainly
you.
wish you well for the future, your future endeavors, especially with IWajib. Thank you for joining us once again. We hope you've enjoyed the program. Do like the video, comment, and subscribe to catch more inspiring interviews. I'm Jonathan Roberts from StarPropertyTV. See you next time.